Okay, my name is Brent Walker, and this is for the UAB history program. If we'd like to start by just, you're stating your name, your age, and where you were from.
My age?
Well, you don't have to do age. You can just do name and where you're from.
I don't mind it. I'm Adrienne Lee, and I'm from the Rosedale community in Homewood, Alabama. I am 76 years old, and this neighborhood has been fascinating to me since I've been here. I never heard of it until I met my husband. When we started dating, then I started hearing everybody talk about Rosedale, and I had never heard of it before. And after a couple of years, we married, and I moved to Rosedale. And I've been fascinated by it ever since being here. It was just a little dirt street community. It was not paved, the roads weren't paved. I thought I could follow some of the things that I had seen in magazines and decorating the house. I bought white curtains and had to wash them every week. It was just unbelievable because I had never lived where there were no paved streets. And it was fascinating because of the terrain. I liked the hills. I liked the view. When you come to Rosedale and drive through the community and look around you, you see a lot of lights and other from downtown and up on Shays Mountain. You have a wonderful view, and I was just carried away with all of that. I thought that I had never seen anything as beautiful as this place.
How long have you lived in Rosedale?
I've lived in Rosedale 40-some years, 50 years, and I'm still just as fascinated as I was in the very beginning. Although, when I first came, I thought, well, I started having a family when I first came. Then, after about 10 years, in the 60s, I guess maybe my mind or thinking process changed as far as where I was focused. I was teaching for a few years and decided that I would come home and raise a family. And that's what I did. In 1966, my last child was born, and I decided to stay home. And that's when I became more interested in Rosedale because I had heard a lot of talk about how it was diminishing in size. It started off with 160 acres, and it now has about, landmass-wise, about 14. So that's quite a change. And what was happening all those years was that commercial developers were encroaching on the Rosedale community. And I kept reading and listening and observing what was going on, and it was my opinion that if the community didn't want to leave, didn't want to give up their property, they should have the right to remain here. And that was the beginning of my recognizing the struggle of holding on to where you live.
So you would say the commercial increasement of them wanting to move in just kind of gave Rosedale a sense of, coming together to hold its own? Is that what you're getting at?
That was part of it. Being organized is the most crucial part of holding on to your heritage and holding on to your property. If you're not together, which we still aren't completely together, there are some who want to sell. And those people who think that they can make a lot of money off of selling, of course, that doesn't exist anymore. For the economy won't allow it now, but there was a time when property was being bought, and it was bought at a reasonable, attractive amount. And it was because we're so close to downtown, developers wanted to come in and do what you see signs of now. Soho and the new building, administrative city building downtown is evidence of their growth and how they want to expand. It's just that they can't do it now because there's no funds to do any major development like they had begun. It was a threat, a big threat, up until everybody had to draw back and stop spending, and the administration had to stop spending, and therefore they couldn't buy any more of the property at that time. But it's still on hold. It's still on hold. They still are anxious to buy up the property in this area, and I can understand why, and anybody who drives through can understand why, because it does need upgrading. But our chances of upgrading with all the things that we've done, like becoming a nonprofit, becoming organized, and gaining partners. We have lots of partners, and we've tried since 1986 as a nonprofit. We've done some things. It's not evident because it's not a lot, but I'm sure there are at least 30 houses that are either new or restored in this community. There's one right next door that's been restored. And that lady who lived there was single parent, but she was a go-getter. She lived next door for years, and I didn't realize it. But a contractor came from her house to my house to do some work, and he said, "That's the hardest working person I've ever met." And I started wondering, what is she doing? But those people who travel while they're working, like contractors get subcontractors and come into an area to do work, they would pick these men up and bring them into Birmingham to do big jobs, maybe some it may be, and they would stay overnight at that house and she would feed them. That was just unbelievable, and I didn't even know what was going on, but that's one of the ways black people were able to make a living.
So I know you touched on the non-for-profit, and we talked about getting into that. Can you give me a little bit more information on how that came about and what's your role in the nonprofit?
Okay.
And you said something about partners as well. If you could just go into a little bit more detail with that.
Okay. From the very beginning, when this community began to organize, it was as a result of a person who knew about organizing communities. And her name was Jean Johnston. She was a journalist, a retired journalist. She had done a project for the Episcopal Diocese. She did the Episcopal Place. She did the proposal. And I met her because I was on the board for the Episcopal Place. And I began to talk with her. And so she had experienced, she had seen, she knew about community organizations, and she came to Rosedale to help us organize. And we bought property because the church gave us seed money, and we bought 7 houses, and we still own those houses. The community owns them. And once we became organized as a nonprofit, we started looking into who are the stakeholders and who could we ask to become partners. And our first partner was Great Birmingham Ministries, and they have been with us ever since. we have done many things because of Greater Birmingham Ministries. They have acquainted us, made us a part of, actually, one of the persons who was sent to this community knew someone at Auburn, and from the architectural department. In fact, she was the director, Cheryl Morgan. She came to Rosedale. We had, with the Tuesday group, we had public meetings for 2 years to see what the community wanted. And in the meantime, they designed a plan for Rosedale. And we have a master plan for this whole community. And it was as a result of the partnership with Great Birmingham Ministries and Auburn University, University of Alabama. Actually, our first president was from the University of Alabama. His name is Dr. Bobby Wilson. He was the Rosedale nonprofit organization president for over 10 years. And with that partnership, others came along, such as we have, let's see, I'm trying to remember the name of it, but Simon Serene is an organization that has come to the community to help with the youth in the community. They help beautify the community, believe it or not. As you drive through the community, you might notice pocket parks. Well, that's as a result of the youth in the community working with this nonprofit, which is, it's called Nehemiah's Quest in this community, and it's a program through Simon Serene, which is a nonprofit for Terry Slaughter's group. It's the Slaughter landscaping group. And we've been blessed. Not only has he done the pocket parks, but he's taught the children how to assist senior citizens, and they do other projects in the community that may not be as evident as the pocket parks, but they are really good programs to teach children how to care for their own community.